we're kicking off today with Raw, as the main event of the show saw Finn Balor and Seth Rollins make their world title match official for SummerSlam. In a move that'll surprise nobody who's watched any contract signing ever, a brawl ensued once the match was made official and Rollins was taken down by his challenger. Sami Zayn made the save, dodging Rhea Ripley and hitting Damian Priest, but there was an awkward botch when Dominik tried to get involved. The reigning NXT North American champion clearly realized that he had come in too early and was forced to step back and wait on the ropes for a moment. A few seconds later, and Dominik came in to take a chair shot from Zayn before the inevitable numbers game overwhelmed Zayn and the Judgement Day stood tall. Despite the botch, the fact that the show ended with Balor and his allies standing tall once again proves that the Judgement Day runs Raw and that nobody is safe. What else can be said about the faction that took out 2/3 of the top 3 babyface champions on Raw in the main event after dispatching of the other third, Kevin Owens, earlier in the night? Fans rolled their eyes when the Judgement Day was first introduced in 2022, finding the dark gothic group to be hokey, but the group now continues to prove to be a highlight of Raw, as seen this week. Now, the last time that Rhea Ripley was pinned in a singles match, it was all the way back in May of last year, when Liv Morgan got a huge victory over her former tag team partner. In recent weeks, the pair have rekindled their feud thanks in part to Ripley's attack on Morgan's current tag partner Raquel Rodriguez, and this feud went to the next level this week. On Raw, Morgan was scheduled to face Ripley, who instead blindsided the Riot Squad alum before the match, wrapping Morgan's arm in a steel chair and stomping on it. This attack left Morgan in tears and proclaimed that she was not okay when taken to the medics room, and it appears that Morgan has been written off of TV for the time being. It seems to be a clear setup for Rhea Ripley versus Raquel Rodriguez at SummerSlam, while Morgan will likely miss the August 5th event due to this attack by the Judgement Day member. Given that Morgan recently disclosed a legitimate shoulder injury, which is why the former SmackDown Women's Champion was seen wearing a sling after a recent WWE Live event, it's possible that this angle was used to write her off of TV so she can fully heal up. And whatever WWE has planned for Liv Morgan, it won't involve her competing at the biggest party of the summer. Morgan is expected to miss SummerSlam to give her time to recover from her recent injury, and another popular name on the Red brand could also be missing the August 5th event. According to reports following Raw, undisputed WWE Tag Team Champion Kevin Owens is dealing with a legitimate injury, but WRKD Wrestling says it's unclear how long he'll be sidelined. That is why his injury is being used to advance his and Sami Zayn's program with the Judgement Day, as WWE hopes that he'll be able to wrestle again during this ongoing feud. On Raw, Owens was attacked by Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley in an off-screen angle, which caused the distraction that allowed Dominik Mysterio to retain the North American title against Sami Zayn. Owens was favoring his right arm and ribs in a post-match segment in the trainer's room, so that may be the injury he suffered. While WWE is hoping that this injury is nothing too serious, the real question is whether Owens will appear on Raw during his recovery from his legitimate injury, or will he be forced to stay at home? There's also the question of the tag titles, which the Canadians have held since WrestleMania, and some have suggested that Sami could have an interim partner if Owens needs to be out for long. If so, then this could set up a feud for when Owens is back, as much of his story has been about his anger issues, and we'll hopefully have confirmation about his future in the coming days. It was not just on Raw that the Judgement Day are proving to be a force to be reckoned with, as the faction will be back on NXT during tonight's broadcast. It's been confirmed that Dominik and Rhea Ripley will kick off tonight's show, and with Ripley set to face Lyra Valkyria, expect plenty for the Judgement Day on the Gold brand. If you've been watching Raw very closely in recent weeks, you may have noticed a random skull that has been spotted backstage. WWE has given no indication as to what the skull means, but this week, Becky Lynch touched the skull during a backstage segment in the most acknowledgement from a superstar yet. This skull has been popping up during a ton of segments, including ones with Damian Priest, Byron Saxton, Logan Paul, and others. Whatever WWE has planned for the skull, they are keeping those plans a closely guarded secret, and what do you think the big reveal related to this skull will be? Let us know in the comments. Skull or no skull, Raw saw Cody Rhodes cut another promo on Brock Lesnar ahead of their collision at SummerSlam, the third match between the two this year. Speaking about being attacked in front of his mother last week, Cody recalled Terry Funk throwing a fireball at his father in front of Dusty's wife and vowed to embarrass the Beast in Detroit. The feud between these two began back on the post-WrestleMania Raw when Lesnar turned heel on Cody, but since then, fans have been left wondering one question: why is this feud happening? On TV, there's been no explanation as to what Lesnar's issue with Rhodes is, which has led to matches at Backlash and Night of Champions ahead of SummerSlam. While it has been alluded to that Lesnar had an issue with Rhodes main eventing WrestleMania instead of him, that's never been confirmed on TV, leaving fans bewildered by this feud. On Twitter, some fans argued that this storyline is getting stale, or that it has been for some time, and that Rhodes and Lesnar are doing the exact same thing week after week. One fan pointed out that no stipulation has yet to be announced either, despite reports some time ago that WWE was considering a stipulation, possibly a bull rope match, for their SummerSlam clash. With SummerSlam marking the rubber match between these two, this will likely be the final chapter of their feud, and do you think this feud has grown stale? Let us know in the comments down below. It's been reported for weeks that Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa will be reuniting DIY very soon, but some of the optimism has faded given Gargano's continued absence from Raw. Ciampa is back on TV and has finished his feud with The Miz, and on this week's Raw, the Blackheart lost to Bronson Reed in what should be a sign that he needs some backup. This should prompt the return of Gargano, but he's nowhere to be seen on TV, despite being cleared to wrestle for weeks now. Some time ago, it was said that DIY's reunion would happen in time for SummerSlam, and that they'd be in line for a tag titles run, but with Gargano AWOL, these plans seem a near impossibility at this point. Gargano may be missing, but Logan Paul and Ricochet have been on TV plenty since their feud began at Money in the Bank, though an argument could be made that the seeds were sown during the Men's Rumble match. During this week's Raw, the long-rumored SummerSlam match between the two was confirmed in a segment that saw Paul blindside the one and only. Despite Paul's best efforts though, Ricochet was able to come back and hit the standing shooting star press, all while Paul held his phone despite having been kicked to the ground. We're sure that Paul will have plenty to say about this brush with Ricochet when he appears on next week's Raw, which will serve as the go-home episode of the show before SummerSlam. While Ricochet was left standing tall this week, fans of the former US champion should prepare to be disappointed in Detroit, as current plans call for Paul to get the win at SummerSlam. This win won't come clean though, as recent reports revealed that WWE plans on Omos getting involved in the match, flattening Ricochet and helping Paul get the win. The story wouldn't be that Omos is back to being a henchman like he was with AJ Styles, but rather that he wants to elevate himself up the card and believes that aligning with the social media megastar would do just that. From here, Ricochet would immediately move into a feud with Omos, allowing Paul to take time off before he makes his next return to WWE. With Logan Paul losing his past 4 matches in WWE, the promotion want him to still seem like a competent name in the ring, so expect the Maverick to stand tall in Detroit, albeit after a giant assist. Do you think the idea of Omos getting involved makes sense, or would you rather see Paul get a clean win over Ricochet? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments. Last week, Nikki Cross lost in mere seconds in a squash match to Shayna Baszler, hardly a fitting loss for somebody who was Raw Women's Champion this time 2 years ago. This week, Cross was missing completely from Raw, but despite these setbacks, the former almost superhero gave her all on the main event. In a match that's been praised by fans, Cross faced Kaden Carter on WWE main event before Raw. WWE is said to have no plans for Cross at SummerSlam or after SummerSlam, but while she may not be doing much on the red brand, it won't stop the Scottish superstar giving an exceptional performance in the ring. It was on last week's Raw that Shinsuke Nakamura teased a heel turn, saying he was tired of people getting in his business, and that heel turn was confirmed this week. During Ciampa's match with Bronson Reed, Nakamura refused to leave when the Blackheart asked, and this distraction cost Ciampa dearly, confirming the Japanese star's heel turn and kicking off what'll surely be an excellent feud. Raw also saw Becky Lynch defeat Zoey Stark in a match with huge stakes, despite the best efforts of Trish Stratus to interfere. Had Lynch lost, she would have to get "Thank You Trish" tattooed on her body, but her win means she'll instead face Stratus at SummerSlam in a match that has been in the works for months. And we're ending with Drew McIntyre, as it was confirmed on Raw that he will challenge Intercontinental Champion Gunther at SummerSlam. On Raw, McIntyre picked up momentum in the show's main event with a win over Ludwig Kaiser, the latter's first main event on Raw, and we'll have to see if Drew can do what no one has been able to do and dethrone Gunther next month.